Good afternoon, Charlotte County. This is James coming to you from Tringali Park Recreation Center in Englewood, here to bring some fun recipes to life with you. So today we are going to make two Disney-themed recipes. The first one is the gray stuff. Wonder what movie that's from. I hear it's delicious. And then the second will be some honey milkshakes with a little Winnie the Pooh touch to them. So we are going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to start with our gray stuff, and then that'll have to cool for a couple minutes, and then we'll jump into our honey milkshakes while kind of in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and get started. For this, what you're going to need is you are going to need both vanilla and chocolate pudding. Instant works best. Otherwise, you would have to just make it and then let it set in the fridge, and then you'd be able to go on either way. But I have instant pudding here. Some chocolate sandwich cookies, aka Oreos. You'll need some type of scalloped cookies. These are orange thins, just to have the cute little scallop shape on them. For this, we'll also need milk and whipped topping. So we're going to go ahead and start with our recipe with our pudding. And so we're going to start with the vanilla pudding. If you can find like the 3.5, 4 ounce box, that is better. The store was sold out, so I bought a bigger container, so we'll have to use a portion of the pudding. But I'm going to go ahead and make the whole thing just so we're not letting pudding mix sit around. And for this, you'll just follow the instructions on the box. So for this, what they call with the smaller boxes is 1.5 cups of milk to go with. Since this is a little larger, I'm going to use 3 cups of milk. All right, and better stretch since I'm going to get my stirring arm going. Get out my handy dandy whisk and make some pudding. So like I said, just follow the directions. This should set, so this is instant set pudding, so we may have to let it sit for a few minutes. So it'll set up in the bowl. Make sure you use cold milk. That will help it set quicker, so it's nice and smooth. As you can see, it's still kind of liquidy, so we will have to let it set for a few minutes, but that is okay because we can keep going with something else. All right, so the next thing that we have to do, and you can do this one of 2 ways. I have a food processor, so kids, have mom or dad help you out with this one because food processors do have sharp blades. What you can also do is you can use just a plastic Ziploc bag. So what I'm doing is I am going to put 15 of my chocolate sandwich cookies into my food processor. Mine's a little smaller, so I may have to do a couple runs with it. But we are just going to cut these up or put them in the food processor until they are pretty much Oreo powder. 5. I might be able to put them all in here. That would be great. Why not? We're having fun. All right, this is going to get loud. So we're going to just grind this up until it is a fine cookie powder. Checking it up, still needs to go a little while. Getting there. Gotta stir it up a little bit. Yeah, we're almost there. We've almost got nothing but cookie crumbs. So like I had said before, there is another way to do this to where you could take, if I can get this back on, there we go, where you can actually take like a Ziploc bag, put them in there and seal the bag nice and tightly and just go ahead and, oh, that didn't work. I think we're gonna call this good. So you can go ahead with the Ziploc bag and basically just hit the cookies until they turn into crumbs. And I've got a couple that stayed whole, but that's okay. I'm just gonna pour these in here. So you're gonna have nice cookie crumbs. Gotta get all the crumbs out of there because wasting Oreos is like a crime. So we can't do that. So I'm gonna just set these back here. I am done with my cookies. And it looks like there's some extras to snack on at the end. So as we've done this, our pudding is set very nicely. So obviously we see here that it is more of a pudding consistency now. It could probably stand for another minute or so, but if we go ahead and mix our crumbs in, I don't think that'll be a problem. So remember I said that this is a bigger package. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take a little more than half of it. If you do find like the 3.5 ounce box, just put the whole box in there. But since this is a little different, I'm just gonna take about half of it. Yeah, that looks about, I think that's about half. And this doesn't have to be exact. All right, so now that we have our pudding in here, we're gonna add our cookies. And we are going to just mix it up until everything is mixed real good. Like I said, the food processor didn't get everything, so I'm gonna just crush the rest of them with my whisk. And so look at that, starting to get that gray color there. All right, the next thing I need to do is I need to take my chocolate pudding mix. I'm actually not going to make the chocolate pudding. I am just going to take a tablespoon of the chocolate pudding mix and mix it in. Because I make a mess all over the place, but messes can be clean. So I'm going to take just a scoop, a tablespoon of the chocolate pudding mix and put it in there. And 8 ounces of whipped topping or Cool Whip. So this is a 16 ounce, so it's the smaller size tubs. So I'm gonna use about half of this tub here. And it just came out of the freezer, so it is a little firm, but that's okay, because that will actually help us out. Yeah, it looks like about half of it. We'll call that good. So now I have everything here mixed up really nicely, or going to be mixed up really nicely. So that'll be my last step here. So the reason that you want your Cool Whip or your whip topping to still be cold is that this needs to set up. And obviously I don't have a fridge in here, so I'm gonna just let it set up. And this will help. So I'm just gonna stir it up real good. Get those frozen pieces. You see it's starting to take on that gray color. And then we're just gonna let it sit for a few minutes to thicken. It's best to put it in the fridge. So I'm just gonna put it on ice for a couple minutes there. All right, while this is thickening, we're almost done with that. We are going to move on to our honey milkshakes, which for that, we have a little bit of a craft involved too. Very simple. So what I did was I took a brown paper bag and cut 2 strips here. I got chocolate on my hand, that's not good. There we go. So I cut 2 strips, about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and we are going to write honey on here, like Winnie the Pooh's honey pot. So of course, Winnie the Pooh spelled it H-U-N-N-Y, okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple mason jars. Here, I'm just using spaghetti sauce jars. So if you have mason jars, that works. If you don't, just save a couple of your spaghetti sauce jars next time you make pasta. And I'm just going to take the strip around the jar. And I will be left with Winnie the Pooh's honey pot. So I'm going to do this for both jars. Because we want to make our honey milkshakes fun. We don't just want to have a milkshake. We've got to be creative here. So, we have that. So I'm going to make my milkshakes now. If you have a blender, like a standing blender with the pitcher on it, I would use that. I'm actually going to be using an immersion blender. So either of these, either your standing blender or your immersion blender, this is another thing where an adult will have to help out because it does have a sharp blade. And so we want to make sure that we're being safe about this and using caution. So for this, all we need are four ingredients. So we have milk, vanilla ice cream, honey, and we're going to end with some whipped cream. And so we are going to go ahead and start by combining our ice cream, honey, and milk in a blender. So I'm using a bowl, and I need 1/3 of a cup of honey, and I've actually not opened this yet. Measure out 1/3 of a cup. I'm just gonna set that kind of upside down to let it drain out real quick. While I'm doing that, we also need a cup of milk. And then 2 cups of vanilla ice cream. Now I've let my ice cream sit out for a few minutes, so it's gotten a little soft, which is good because I don't have an ice cream scoop. So we are doing our best here. So we're just going to kind of eyeball. There's 1/3 of a cup or a little more. So I think I'm going to take about 4 scoops here using this measuring cup. So if you're looking for where to find this recipe, I actually found these on, there's a website called Disney Family, and it's run by the Disney company, and they have a lot of neat little recipes that you can do. Both of these came from the Disney Family recipe. And we will go ahead and call that good. So all you would do with this one is take your blender. So here I have my immersion blender. Again, being very cautious because I do have a blade at the bottom of this. And we will just take this and blend it up. Helps to do this in like a pitcher and not a bowl, but we are working with what we have here. And you'll see it's starting to take that nice milkshake texture. And we're going to call that good. It looks delicious. Can't wait to try this. So I'll go ahead and take apart my immersion blender. See that honey there. So the honey will be very sticky too, so just make sure that you are careful with that if you don't want to make too big of a mess. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to scoop equal portions of this into my cup or my jar, spilling all over. I think when I see Winnie the Pooh eating honey, there's usually some spilling over the sides, so I think I'll give myself a little bit of grace with that. Again, if you have a blender with a pitcher on it, this works a little better, but we are all about improvising. So you'll go ahead and just make your milkshakes like that. We'll be brave here and try and pour straight from the bowl as I drip all over everything. And then to finish, all you do is put in some whipped cream. Add a straw. And you have delicious, very cute, might I add, honey milkshakes. So I'm going to go ahead and just wipe this off. Set those up here. And I think we're ready to go back to our gray stuff now. So we're done with our milk. We're actually done with just about everything. I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir, and you see that it's set up really nicely. Those little frozen chunks of the Cool Whip definitely melted. And now we have our gray stuff. So the next step is going to be to set up our crackers, or cookies. Like I said, these are scallop cookies. You can use any type of cookies you want, sugar cookies. You can use Oreos, whatever. It's all good. I just chose these because they were a nice fancy shape. Woo! Those broke. I'm not going to use those. And you'll just set them out on your plate. And then what you're going to do is you are going to take your gray stuff and put it in a Ziploc bag. And so just scoop some out. Now if you're one of the lucky people to have a piping bag, which is what you can use to make cool little designs, by all means, use your piping bag. But if you don't, the easiest thing to do is just to take a Ziploc bag, fill it up, and then cut off just a little piece of the corner. So I'm just going about, I don't know, maybe ½ inch in, cut off a piece of the corner. Make sure your little piece of plastic doesn't land back in your food. And then I'm just going to make a cute little design. Now, if you let this sit in the fridge, it's going to thicken up a little more. So this still kind of has more of a creamy consistency. So we probably would want to let this sit a little longer, but that is a-okay. So remember, try the gray stuff. It's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. That is from Beauty and the Beast. All right, so now we have some delicious snacks for our afternoon. We have the gray stuff, which I'm going to put over here by our honey milkshakes. And we have a lovely afternoon snack with the gray stuff and with our honey milkshakes. So here's my challenge to you. My challenge to you is please go ahead and make these recipes. Like I said, you can find the exact ingredients on the Disney Family website. Just do a Google search and they will come right up. And what I would like to see is I'd like to see you make them, and you can post them on our Facebook page, either by replying to this video or doing a post directly onto our page, Charlotte County Parks and Recreation. with the hashtag Charlotte Wrecks the Curve, R-E-C-S, the curve, because we are recreation. So we want to wreck the curve by doing some awesome activities right from home, practicing our social distancing, being very safe about everything, just being very healthy about everything. So we are going to wrap up here. We really wish that we could be doing this in person with you. We miss you. We can't wait to open our rec centers back up when they tell us that it's safe to do so. But until then, please go ahead and tune in every weekday at 1:30 on our Charlotte County Parks and Recreation Facebook page. We'll have different videos from arts and crafts, cooking, sports, outdoors, you name it, we'll have it coming to you from there. Until next time, have a great day, stay safe, and stay healthy.